They have just lied through their teeth. Lied through their teeth. Think they can pull the wool over our eyes, and they're relying on blind tribalism. That is what they're doing right now. Howard Webb has spoken, and I cannot believe, I truly cannot believe what I'm hearing right now. Please like, share, and subscribe. They are going to try and block this. They're going to try and suppress this. They're going to try and do everything to remove it. We're covered by fair use policy. I've got to blur some of the footage, otherwise I will shut it down. But this is absolutely egregious, in my humble opinion. Let's take a little listen to this.
Sunday's game between Manchester City and Liverpool, and a Virgil van Dijk goal that was ruled out for offside interference by Andy Robertson.
Robertson's in line of vision right in front of the keeper. He's ducked under the ball. He's very, very close to him. I think his line of vision, I think he's been impacted, mate.
Okay, so offside then.
I think offside.
You hear what that's the assistant referee and referee speaking. Clear line of vision. Now, what's so important to remember is that every single time we have seen these debates before, and there is lots of evidence of this, by the way, and we put it up. You know, there's been, you know, this goal here that was scored, which we'll delve into in more detail. But of course, and more importantly, was the Silva situation versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. There was Ahmad's goal recently against Crystal Palace. There are multiple examples of this. And every single time a decision has been given, when they've mentioned clear line of vision, it's been the goalkeeper's ability to see the ball and not have to move their body position to see the flight of the ball. It's very important to remember that this early in this.
Checking offside.
So now VAR is checked. These are the VAR voices, not the referee and the assistant referee.
Checking the on-field decision of offside against Andy Robertson. Delay. So you got clear offside position. You got a movement. You got a high range to show how high he is in terms of line of vision.
Very close to Donnarumma.
It does.
I agree with you.
So remember, very close to Donnarumma is the first point he's saying.
The decision, I think, is offside.
Virgil,
It's a clear, an obvious action which clearly impacts on the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Saying that ducking out the way of the ball is a clear action that gets in the way of the goalkeeper. So the ducking in this instance, and I'm not trying to speak to you like you're stupid. I'm just trying to, because I know you're not stupid, but I want to make sure I'm not misinterpreting this. Get in the comments, let me know. Ducking out the way is a clear movement, an obvious action that impedes the goalkeeper.
Chris, it's Michael confirming the on-field decision of offside against Andy Robertson. He is in an offside position very close to the goalkeeper and makes an obvious movement directly in front of him.
So makes an obvious movement directly in front of him. Now, we all know that he wasn't directly in front of him, because directly in front of you means here. I'm sitting here right now. This microphone's not directly in front of me. It is to my left. This bottle of water is to my right. That is directly in front of somebody. We all know what that means. And on every other single example of this, offsides are given when someone's standing in front of the goalkeeper and he can't see. Whenever so far a player has gone across the line of vision, but briefly, or they're to the side of the goalkeeper, even if they've had to jump out of the way of the ball, the goal has been given. There's the Akanji example where Ake scored. There's the Bernardo Silva example. Amad Diallo just last week. That is a precedent that has been set. On this, they're talking in the complete and utter opposite way. No reference point to all the previous decisions being given. That's one of the big issues with the consistency. But let's continue to listen.
Check complete offside.
We've known from our conversations before that offside interfering with an opponent where the offside position player doesn't play the ball and the officials have to make a judgment whether the actions of that player impact an opponent are some of the most subjective decisions that we have to make. And therefore, it's no surprise that some people believe that this goal should have stood as you've just said. So I think it's important that we look at...
It's not about it being subjective, Howard. It's about the things that you have said. And let's go back to what you said when last season City scored a goal in almost identical fashion. When you stated here, and I will quote your words, that he has to be doing other things. He either has to touch the ball, he doesn't. He either has to be in the line or sight of the goalkeeper, in the line or sight of the goalkeeper. You said that he isn't. You have literally come out and said that in this action here, he went across him. He's not in his line of sight. There is no difference in that proximity. There's no difference in the proximity of Bernardo Silva and Robertson. It's just the opposite side. It's as simple as that. And you can see that here. You can see it when you compare these two images. It's the opposite sides, but the distancing is very, very close indeed. There is a ducking action. Apologies. There is a ducking action from both, but yet reviewed in completely and utterly opposite ways. So I'm sorry, Howard. This isn't about subjectivity. It's about you defending one decision, educating us and saying this is what we look for. This is why it isn't offside, because he's not directly in front of him. He hasn't challenged the goalkeeper. He hasn't made an attempt to play the ball. There is the Akanji decision, which we mentioned earlier as well, where VAR literally said the words, so the keeper sees it. It makes no difference, so we're happy, check complete. Although Akanji had to jump out of the way of the ball. If Akanji doesn't jump out of the way of the ball, it hits him and it's offside. And there's something so significant I'm about to tell you about this. Because some will say, I agree with what Howard Webb is about to say, but it's the first time they've said it. On all the other occasions, they said it wasn't an offside offence. But they're stating here, because the goalkeeper can see the flight of the ball, it doesn't matter that Akanji has had to make a huge jump and turning motion to move out of the way, because he didn't get in the goalkeeper's line of sight directly. It doesn't matter if it makes the goalkeeper hesitate. It doesn't matter if it makes the goalkeeper second guess. It doesn't matter what the goalie thinks Akanji may or may not do. He can see the ball. And as you can read here, in black and white, so the keeper sees it. They're referring to the movement of Akanji makes no difference. So we're happy, check complete. Now, it's important that you remember that, because this is where the lies and the bullshit and the deception comes in. He goes on to speak for another 4 or 5 minutes, just going over the same ground that he's already kind of mentioned before. But let's keep listening to this next bit. It's a doozy. It's a doozy!
The facts of what actually happened in this situation. We know the corner comes in and the ball reaches Van Dijk. As the ball's coming across the penalty area, the Manchester City players move out. They leave Robertson in that offside position in the heart of the 6-yard box. When Van Dijk heads the ball forward, that's the moment when we have to make an offside judgment about Robertson and about what he's doing there. We know he doesn't touch the ball, but what does he do? Well, for sure, as the ball moves towards him, 3 yards out from goal, right in the middle of the 6-yard box, he makes that clear.
Well, he's not right in the middle of... Well, it might be middle was in 3 yards. So, okay, maybe not central, but okay, cool.
Action to duck below the ball goes just over his head. And the ball finds the goal in the half of the 6-yard box where he is.
So that's the only fundamental difference, is that it's in the goal, it's in the goal goes over his head. So if the ball had gone in the other direction, maybe it would have stood still. But as we know, the goalkeeper went to dive that way and had to go back the other way, so it doesn't really matter. But we have seen Akanji. Okay, so you go, okay, well, no, if it goes the other side, Terry, then it would have stood. I get what Howard Webb's saying, but that doesn't make sense, because when it was Akanji, as we have just shown you, and Akanji moved out the way and it went into the goal at the same side he was standing on, they said it made no difference. And if you actually watch Akanji's movement, it does look like he actually tries to flick a foot out to deflect it on target, if you're being absolutely honest. So there's more interpretation that's offside. But they said no. It wasn't in the clear line of sight. His action wasn't obvious. You're moving out the way of the ball is not an attempt to play it, is not an attempt to challenge, and is not an offside offence. This is what they told us on multiple occasions.
Then the officials have to make a judgment. Did that clear action impact on Donnarumma, the goalkeeper?
So hear that there. Did it impact on the goalkeeper? Not did it impact on the ball going in or not. Jumping out the way of a ball when you're offside and it goes in is not an offside action. It's whether it impacted the goalkeeper or not. So now we move into the next realm of bullshit.
I think you made an important point about line of vision. You do hear the assistant, in this case, talk about line of vision. I agree with you. The line of vision normally would relate to the view being blocked of the ball. On that,
normally. So now what they're doing is they're throwing in a curveball normally. Although we have seen this before. Listen.
That one, it does see the ball all the way, but the assistant also talks about other things, ducking below the ball, being close to the goalkeeper. Those in themselves can be enough to penalise a player for offside, interfering with an opponent, even if the keeper can see the ball coming all the way along. He's still in front of the goalkeeper. He still makes that ducking action. That could still cause hesitation from the goalkeeper. Goalkeepers work on reactions.
So there we have it. And I know straight away some people are going to go, Terry, but I told you it should be offside, because the goalkeeper might hesitate and second guess. And I think on a logical level, it holds water what you're saying. The problem is the past. And if you listen to what I said in the last few videos about this, it's not about your opinion or my opinion. It's about what they've told us in the past. It's about the consistency of their decisions. And as we know, and we've spoke about it before, he's defended it again and again. In this incident, when it involves Wolverhampton Wanderers, his words were, didn't challenge for the ball, didn't get in the goalkeeper's line of sight, didn't physically touch the goalkeeper, didn't do anything wrong. And in this moment, when you go and watch it back, he's standing directly in front of the goalkeeper. If you actually go and watch this back in full time, and I can't play it because of copyright, but it's mad. But you can see it here. As that ball's crossed in, so this is a split second before it reaches John Stones' head. You can actually see the ball in the middle of if you look where the boxes are in the crowd, you can see the ball in the right dead centre of the picture. So yes, he's not offside right now because you can't be offside from a corner. But he is directly and physically imposing himself on the goalkeeper. And then as the ball is headed by John Stones, this is just after, he was still directly in front of him. But as the ball gets headed, so this is a split second after this point, he moves across the goalkeeper's line of sight and ducks down. He doesn't know where the ball's going. But at no point did the VAR, and at no point does Howard Webb come out and say, yeah, do you know what? Him pushing himself into the goalkeeper, stepping away, ducking down and moving could have created any hesitation, any distraction, and could have impeded the goalkeeper in any way. What Howard Webb said, what every ex-referee said, and they've done it for the Akanji situation, they've done it for the Ahmad situation recently, and many, many others. What they have stated is that they're not, as long as the goalkeeper can see the ball, and as long as they are not physically stopping the goalkeeper from diving, it is not offside. What they've now added in, just randomly, almost out of nowhere, is it might be something that was in his head. The hesitation could be in his mind. And the reason I call this out is they did it with the Gyökeres and Arsenal penalty, where for years, the consistent outcome, and now I've always thought if you touch the ball slightly, it shouldn't be a foul. That was always my personal preference. But what this man there, said, what the PGMOL said is just a slight touch and not winning possession, a slight touch where the opponent might still get onto the ball. A slight touch does not stop it from being a foul if the follow-through hits the player, if the follow-through takes a player out. Saliba's head, where Arsenal conceded one. There was Lamptey on Gabriel Jesus, where Arsenal won a penalty. There's two very famous examples, but it was multiple. And they backed it, and they backed it, and they backed it. And they said slight contact doesn't matter. And then suddenly, randomly, Gyökeres has one overturned. It's crazy to me. For me, they're lying through their back teeth. And I think they've made a horrendous decision here to double down. I think they should have held their hands up and admitted they got it wrong, because they are now setting a new precedent. Now, look, if now every time this happens, they're going to give it as an offside, fair enough. They've got to now. Because what they are admitting is a thing they have to consider is, does that movement across the goalkeeper's line of sight, does someone standing in your peripheral vision, is it going to make you judge things differently? Is it going to make you interpret things differently? Yes. It means the Man United goal against City, which they defended and said it doesn't matter that Rashford was there, he didn't try and play the ball. It doesn't matter that the defenders are distracted. He's not interfering with play. It's not an obvious movement. It's not an obvious attempt to play the ball. It's not a physical attempt to stop an opponent. Well, how can they justify any of those now in future? It's impossible to justify them, because they're now stating what they should be considering is, does that player's presence impact the thought process of a defender? Does the attacker impact the thought process, the decision making, maybe make a hesitation from that player? Liars. They robbed Liverpool like they robbed Arsenal of that penalty. They robbed them. They absolutely robbed them. They think they can lie and get away with it. They're an absolute disgrace on every level.